So, will the New Orleans Saints be able to beat the Chicago Bears? I mean, probably. But let's really get into depth about what's going to happen, what could go right for Chicago, what could go wrong, and let's talk about how the New Orleans offense will attack this Bears defense, because I think that's very interesting. And I do think that there is actually some upset potential in this one, and I'm going to talk about maybe how it could happen and also just what the Saints can do to avoid that. So right off the bat, one of the key things is that Alvin Kamara is really good at football. This is not necessarily a surprise, and he had a huge day against the Chicago Bears, and I think that could be a major factor. Like on this play, he's going up one-on-one against Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson, one of the best safeties in the game right now. That's who he's going up and running a quick route. But the thing about Kamara is he really is. He's like a wide receiver that also plays running back at a high level. That's how good he is. Brees takes the snap, and you notice that Kamara is open. It's an easy throw, and Kamara does great work after the catch to pick up a first down just like that. It's so easy for him, and that just makes things so easy for the Saints offense. So here's the X factor. If everything goes according to the plan with his 10-day quarantine, and he doesn't have any symptoms, this means that he will end up playing and he can play against the Chicago Bears. The issue is, if that doesn't happen, that could be a huge loss for New Orleans. So that's something that you really have to keep an eye on. And also another huge thing to think about is if he has a 10-day quarantine that ends the day before the game, so now he hasn't been a part of the game plan. He, is coming in cold. So who knows if that's the right decision to make? He won't be football ready, so to speak. So, that's a huge issue and a huge X factor. Another X factor will be shown on a play like this, where once again, you're going to see that Alvin Kamara is going to be the key guy to watch. He's running a route to Brees' right. And the guy who's playing man coverage against him is Roquan Smith, who I've talked about. I'm a huge fan of Roquan Smith's game. I think he's fantastic. Brees is going to take the snap right here. Roquan Smith is going to roll out in coverage, and there is not much separation at all here. And this is a linebacker going up against Kamara. I just talked about how it's hard for a safety to go up against Kamara. A linebacker, it should be even more difficult. And in fairness, there totally is a window where this throw can be made, but he's just making it difficult. And that's your job as a linebacker who's playing man against Kamara, is just make his job difficult, because you're not going to be able to completely shut him down. Brees doesn't make this throw. It's inaccurate. And that's, I guess, a third X factor. So, three big differences in this game. The second of which is that Roquan Smith might not play. We don't know. It's still yet to be decided. He's been injured. He has, I believe, a shoulder injury is the thing. So hopefully he can play. But that's a huge X factor, I think. I got to stop saying X factor. But that's a huge another thing that can happen, where if Roquan Smith plays and Kamara doesn't, that's huge advantage Chicago. If Kamara plays and Roquan doesn't, then that's huge advantage for New Orleans. And, if they both play, it'll be interesting to see how close to 100% they are. And if neither one of them play, it'll be interesting to see how both teams adapt. So a lot of craziness going on. The third X factor, Brees did not play well this game when he played the Bears. It was earlier on in the season. I do wonder if just playing in Chicago had something to do with that. I believe it was very windy that game. So in the dome, that could probably help him. I don't think he'll miss as many throws as he played the first time they played. One interesting thing about Roquan will be shown on a play like this, not just Roquan, but the Bears offense as a whole, Bears defense as a whole. What you're going to see is that Drew Brees is going to hand this ball off to his left. That's the way this play is working. But you notice that Khalil Mack is currently unblocked at the line. Now, New Orleans has a fullback, so they could just run it there, but they want to see if they can get a numbers advantage, use the fullback to their advantage, and have him maybe clear out somebody or potentially block someone further away who could then, you can get more of this play. So New Orleans brings a tight end over to their left, but watch what Chicago does. Watch how Eddie Jackson, the player who I've circled now, he just runs in. So yes, Khalil Mack is now going to get blocked, but now Eddie Jackson runs in, and he basically just creates the exact same situation for New Orleans. So that's what they did. And, that's kind of what Chicago does, is they're just very smart at when they see something happen, they shift very quickly. And this isn't anything too fancy whatsoever, but they never miss these kind of things. So now when New Orleans takes the snap, you notice that the tight end, instead of blocking Khalil Mack like he probably was going to, he then ends up blocking Eddie Jackson. And the reason he did that was because he's supposed to sort of block the guy on the edge. But now Mack is coming in, and the fullback is still running over to try and block the edge, which is Jackson, which means that Mack has a straight shot. Mack is able to quickly make this tackle, get some help. Barely made a tackle, but still made the tackle, and they lose yards on that play. And that's what Chicago can do, is they can do things at the line to make things difficult for your running game. And yes, you can easily sit here and say, well, that's a mistake that New Orleans will clean up. But it's difficult when Chicago does things at the line right before the snap that can kind of make things difficult for an offense. The one exception, however, was when Taysom Hill was in, because Taysom Hill actually had a pretty good performance when he was lined up as a quarterback rushing the football. He definitely had some success. First, you notice Roquan Smith. Again, I'm talking about Roquan Smith here. Why? Well, on the last play, one of the things about Roquan that he did was he helped realize, okay, hey, they pull a tight end, quickly get over there, Eddie Jackson, get in position. On this play, he reads, you see how the left guard right here is kind of leaning over to his own right a little bit. It's not crazy, but you can definitely see he's leaning over in that direction a little bit. He has his right hand on his right leg. So Roquan Smith notices this, and he knows he's going to pull over to the left side of the screen, which is going to be to, Taysom Hill's right. That's where he's going to pull over, and Roquan Smith is aware of this. This is going to be how it's going to end up getting blocked. There's going to be a double team on an interior defensive lineman, and the two key blocks, those are the ones that I have in black right there, is the guard pulling over, and you have someone getting off their double team, and he can block somebody else. So typically, they would just block 38 and 59, but now you have 58 who reads this play, and he's going to get in there as well, so that gives you a 3-on-2 numbers advantage for Chicago. The issue is once the ball is snapped, you're going to just see an incredible job right here, and it's by the right tackle, Ryan Ramczyk, for New Orleans, he's doing a great job. He got over and blocked Roquan and created this little hole, and that's part of the issue. There's just so many good offensive linemen on this football team for New Orleans, and they can still find ways to get those little gaps, even when you play it perfectly. I mean, Roquan Smith knew what the play was, and is one of the best linebackers in the league, and is still getting taken out of this play by a good block by one of the best, if not the best, right tackles in the league. Hill squeezes through that gap. He's able to pick up a solid gain. That's what New Orleans does to people, and the running game is going to be incredible to watch. It should be a blast to watch because it's going to be great versus great as long as Roquan Smith is out there, which I really hope he is because, again, he's one of my favorite players to watch. All right, let's talk about the passing game a little bit now. So this play is going to be a cover 3 zone. And the way it's going to work is that for New Orleans, they're going to have, the key route on this one is just going to be Jared Cook's curl route that's underneath the coverage. That's how it works. Very simple. Can get underneath the coverage and you can gain some yards. Brees takes the snap, and this route is going to get open. And this is what New Orleans does better than anybody, and it can really be effective against Chicago's defense, who loves to play zone coverage. Brees always takes what's there. He knows how to just move the ball down the field methodically, and he also knows when to push it down the field, and he's great against zone coverage, which the Bears do like to run, although they will absolutely get creative with it. Cook is able to make the grab here, and he is going to be able to pick up a first down, so that's what New Orleans can do to you, and sometimes it just feels like every play they run just goes for a first down. They're so good at these types of little zone busters, and for a team that loves to play zone, that is an issue. This one's another good example where, again, it's going to be zone coverage. This time it's in a red zone situation. It's a cover 3 zone, and for New Orleans, what they do is they have a receiver who's going to run a route over the middle, and then Jared Cook basically just follows him. That's how this works, because a Chicago defender will probably get out of position covering the first guy. The second guy can get through, potentially get open. So Brees takes the snap right here, and while it kind of does work, obviously the issue is that you have to throw it over to players that are over the middle of the field. So this is a difficult throw for Brees to make, but it is one that he can make, and kind of just the reality is he knows where to throw this football. He's played football for so long. He knows exactly where he has to put it, and Brees still does have accuracy. I think that he's getting I think people are acting like Brees is washed up or something. Brees is still a fine quarterback. Brees is not a mess. Yes, he didn't throw for 40 touchdowns this year, but he's still very good. Watch, it's just kind of a jump ball, and Cook's able to make that grab because he boxed out in that way, and that's what they can do. That was relatively easy, actually, but that's not an easy play to make. They just made it look easy. Now, I can't think of a way this can backfire. It almost did backfire in a huge way. To set the stage, this is overtime right now, so that's where we're at. And for New Orleans, what's going to happen is that they're going up against zone coverage once again. It's going to be quarters coverage this time. And Jared Cook is running a quick route to the outside. This is something that shouldn't gain too many yards, but it could gain some. And that's the way it could work. Roquan Smith is in that area. But what's going to be interesting is that for Chicago, I think the strategy is watch a ton of tape, obviously, and just try and figure out what some of these routes are. And don't be afraid to take a chance. Watch how Cook is going to not get open. Roquan jumps the route, but is not able to make the grab. If he intercepts that, Chicago won this football game. That's the reality of the situation. And, he would have, unless there was an immediate tackle and then a quick 3 and out, which is possible, the chances are that I think that was probably an interception and they returned at least into field goal range. So that's a huge play, and it's a tough interception for him to make, but you might have to make 1 or 2 of those. This Bears defense is good at getting turnovers, and that's what they have to do in this game. To me, that's the upset potential. They can make things difficult on New Orleans. They can stop the run to some degree, although Kamara definitely ate them alive in the passing game. But, if they can just have a couple of breaks go their way, it's very possible. And one way they can get turnovers would be on a play like this, where what's going to happen is that the key thing to watch is going to be Khalil Mack going up one-on-one against Ryan Ramczyk. Remember when I raved about how great Ryan Ramczyk is? He might be the best right tackle in the NFL. That's true. That's 100% true. But Khalil Mack is an elite edge rusher, and an elite edge rusher is going to occasionally get pressure even against an elite tackle. As you see, Mack is going to get pressure. He uses his strength and is able to overpower Ramczyk. No one else can do that. The ball ended up coming out there, out of Breeze's arms, which is not great. And honestly, I don't know if there's any data to back this up, but I feel like when a quarterback doesn't get sacked much, they're more likely to fumble the football once they do get sacked. Again, no idea if that's true or not. It just feels right to me because you're not used to getting pressure from a certain side. Usually Breeze says, hey, we got, Armstead and Ramczyk. I'm good. Sometimes against Chicago, you're not so good. And there will be some pressure. And maybe if you can get a turnover, that can be huge as well. We saw that's how New Orleans lost last year against Minnesota, was a lot of pressure. And a lot of it was through the middle, but some of it was through the sides as well, which Breeze just wasn't used to because they had been great all year and then had a little bit of trouble. So that's what you can see happening. And I do feel like for Sean Payton, don't have an ego on this. If you see that, Ramczyk is having even the slightest bit of trouble, don't be afraid to chip him. Don't be afraid to chip, not Ramczyk, but to chip Khalil Mack. I think that's totally reasonable to do. So there is a blueprint. There is upset potential. The issue is they just need things to go their way on defense. And I feel like more often than not, you're going to see Sean Payton and this Saints offense do a better job and be able to score some points like they did last time they played, because they were able to score points in the regular season. In regulation of the last game, the New Orleans Saints put up 23 points on 10 possessions. I'll say they do a little bit better this time. I'll say 27 points in this game. That's what I think they're going to score. How much will they give up? Well, you'll have to watch my video where I break down the Saints defense going up against Chicago's offense. That's a video for another day. Stay on the lookout for that. It'll be later on in the week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something, I guess, or at least enjoyed it. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.